Yes, hello. How are you? It's my hope that you're doing well and you are having a very fantastic life. Welcome back to this channel. And before we continue, please, I would just like to invite, don't forget to subscribe because we'll be sharing a lot. Yes, life has got a lot of experiences to share. So we'll be sharing a lot in financial matters, in spiritual matters, in educative matters. So please, I would be happy if I see you subscribing. And today, I would just like to talk a little bit about what's known as spiritual intelligence. Most of the problems we are facing today is because that we've much concentrated on two types of emotions. But in order to live in this life, in a good life, in order to solve each and everything. And you have to trust me that 10 years to come or 5 years to come, people who will be pioneering in different sectors, there will be those who will be much knowing on how to use this spiritual intelligence. Let me go dialect. What is spiritual intelligence? Spiritual intelligence is a little bit the way you think, the way you reason, the way you are affected emotional, the way your mind looks like shall or must be according to God or to God. So spiritual intelligence, in my narrow definition, I can define it, whatever you want to do, whatever you live or whatever you decide to do, you do it accordingly to God, or you decide like God, or you think like God, or you act like God, or you take a precaution like God. And this is very important. Most of the problems we are facing today is because we've much concentrated on these other two kinds of quotient I've mentioned, which is IQ and EQ, emotion and being driven by what our mind thinks. But I want to assure you, if you start defining your life, if you start taking life in a serious way and allowing God to maneuver your life, I'm telling you, whatever difficulties you are facing, whatever challenge you'll be facing, they won't succeed because you will be thinking like God. And what I will like you to do is that whenever, whatever, wherever you want to do, please make sure that you use the wisdom of God. You use the compassion of God. You maintain your inner and outer peace regardless of the situation, but you maintain it accordingly to God. What do I mean when I say that? What I mean is that before you travel, first ask God. Before you travel, make sure that you think deeply. Before you travel, think there are some people, there are other peoples maybe who don't like you to travel. There are those accidents, there are those bad stuffs maybe which may be happening. So before you travel, think like God would think. So before you travel, make sure that you cancel all those stuffs, bad stuffs, maybe accidents, maybe postponement, maybe those bad luck. So this one will put you in a position more safer than if maybe you travel laughly, you travel without taking precautions. So all in all, what I can say in a narrow way or in a shallow way, I can say that spiritual intelligence is you allowing God to intervene in every situation. That means that before you go to bed, you have first of all to think what are the accidents, what are the challenges which can appear while you're in bed. So by thinking those challenges, those obstacles, those maybe nightmares, then you cancel them by the power, by the authority of God. So in other words, I can say that spiritual intelligence is you using God as your superpower. There is a saying that every superhero you see in this world has got a superpower behind him. So what's your superpower? I think this one, superhero and superpower, is a topic I'll be talking another day. But what I want to insist on today's topic is that make sure that before you do anything, before you say anything, before maybe you talk anything, make sure that your mind is trained to think as God. And this one will help you. This one will most of the problems, most of the challenges, most of the obstacles you're facing, by training your thinking level to this level, automatically those problems will be disappearing. Maybe someone is asking himself how this can be possible. For instance, I'm facing difficulties. For instance, I have financial problems. How can this spiritual intelligence help me? let me tell you, when you are facing financial challenges, when you are facing financial difficulties, God brings you a lot of ideas in your head. And those ideas which God brings you in your head, you have to think more deeper. And this is where spiritual intelligence intervenes. For instance, you can be facing a lot of financial difficulties, but when you are maybe sitting alone, maybe when you are trying to think, or maybe when you are trying a little bit to brainstorm, then maybe God brings some people abruptly. Maybe someone intervene in your mind. Maybe it's a rich guy with a certain company, or maybe it's your uncle staying somewhere, or maybe it's a certain company, or maybe it's a certain idea. So don't take them for granted. This is where spiritual intelligence has to help you. Whenever, wherever, whatever you are in certain difficulties, any difficulties, can be marital relationship, can be difficulties maybe in your career, can be maybe difficulties in your economic, wherever, whatever, whenever you're facing these difficulties, please, it's the time to use your spiritual intelligence. It's a proper time to use your spiritual intelligence and not your intellectual, not your emotions. Emotions won't help you in solving problems. I can assure you that spiritual intelligence is the only way which can help you to solve problems. For instance, in that problem you're facing, when you go somewhere, go maybe with a paper. When you are in the middle of those difficulties, please try to write down whatever good ideas, whatever good thinking is coming into your mind. Write down, note down, and do not end up only noting those good ideas coming into your head down. Please take actions. And how are you going to take actions? Is when spiritual intelligence must intervene. You know, God is always talking with us, but because we are lacking spiritual intelligence, we interpret those ideas which God is using to talk with us as maybe normal ideas. But no, when you learn to trust God and when you learn to train your brain to use this spiritual intelligence, you'll find that most of your problems, most of your difficulties we're facing in today's world automatically will be perishing, automatically will be removed in your life. So please, for today, let me end up here. And I hope that maybe you have got something, you have got an idea that please learn to use spiritual intelligence in solving your problems. Any problem facing you, learn to use spiritual intelligence. And spiritual intelligence is much greater, is much powerful than maybe emotion quotient or intellectual quotient, IQ or EQ. And this spiritual intelligence, the lack of spiritual intelligence is what has caused a lot of people even to perish. For instance, you're about to travel or you're about to go into your village where you were born, and maybe out of nowhere or from nowhere it comes an idea that maybe before you travel, make sure that maybe you make a peace with maybe your relatives, you do a certain thing. Then someone maybe disobey this. So at the end of the day, he finds or she finds himself into trouble. So please, dear ladies and gentlemen, learn and try to learn more on how powerful and on how you can use this spiritual intelligence to solve each and every difficulties you are facing in your life. Maybe financial difficulties, maybe intellectual difficulties, maybe career difficulties, maybe marital difficulties, maybe relationship difficulties, maybe hardship in your life. But my friend, if you learn to use this spiritual intelligence, most of your problems, if it's not 99% of your problems, will be removed out of your life. And as you know, the Bible says that when you read the book of Psalm 25, verse 14, the Bible put it very clear that the secret of the Lord is unto those who serve him. I don't like to go much into scriptures. This is not a platform of preaching, but please, by any faith you are having, by any faith you are believing, learn more and find deep how to use spiritual intelligence, SI, on solving your difficulties, on solving your problems. And my friend, if you find maybe a testimony on this spiritual intelligence, please don't hesitate to share via the comment section. And please let me end up here for today. I will be much more happy if you subscribe, but please make sure that you continue following us. I'm very sure that through these teachings you will be getting some of the things you will be getting better to know them. Thank you very much. Subscribe, and may God bless you. See you next time.